Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the iRacing Sports Network. Welcome to Apex Racing TV for the Radical Cup iRacing Invitational. We're at the Road Atlanta circuit in the United States. Andrew Woodhouse alongside Tom Drewer here. And Tom, well, you know a lot about these Radical cars. It's going to be great to see them in action around this circuit. It's a good testing track to start the series.
Absolutely, we're excited to be here with you, Apex Racing TV. This is the first time that Radical Sports Cars has done an official iRacing league, and it's just amazing to see around about 50 cars on track here at Road Atlanta. Amazingly enough, I'm sitting in Atlanta, just not at the circuit, and so we're really excited to be here.
Well, hopefully the action is as hot as no doubt the weather will be for you at the moment. We've got qualifying underway. We've got many cars here today. We've got well over 40 cars, which is fantastic to see. And you can see that Zachary Woolen is on provisional pole at the moment, 116.06. And he's got 3/10 advantage over Colin Bays. Then Bradley Smith, Theodore Olsen, and Peter Dempsey. We saw him just a couple of days ago in the ARL TCR. He's fighting out there today in this Radical Cup. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about the car as the drivers go on to their final qualifying lap.
Well, the car that we're using in the iRacing, of course, is the original 2005 SR8 Supersport. So it's a historic model for us, if you like, obviously being superseded by the latest generation SR8, which is amazingly quick. In fact, we've had drivers, as the checkered flag comes out here, lapping Circuit of the Americas some 3.5 seconds faster than GT3 machinery. So that 2.7 litre V8 engine in this SR8 makes it a rather formidable machine, both on the simulator and in real life.
Yeah, very light and nimble as well, and certainly that one of the first cars really that was, I guess, made as a track day car, really. But coming through the final corner, then you see Mark Tranter on your screen. He's currently in 11th place. Let's see if he can improve on his 11th. Don't think he can.
Pretty impressive field. Peter Dempsey, of course, Indy Lights driver. He also won the Thunder Hill 25-hour event with a Radical SR3. So he knows these cars and types of cars well. Bradley Smith, a big-time competitor in the UK series, the Challenge Championship, and the European Masters, which used to take place, LMP3 driver. And then we've got quite a few hotshot iRacers as well. So guys that know the cars in the virtual world, racing against some of the best Radical racers in the real world.
Yeah, and that seems to be like a theme of the last few weeks, I guess, doesn't it? And it's been great to see those competitions and see who's going to come out on top. Well, we don't know, but we're going to find out today. We've got one race for you tonight. We've got a 35-minute race, and so we'll be probably seeing, well, about maybe 28, 29 laps, something like that, give or take. And the drivers are going to line up on the grid, and we're going to show you the grid any moment now. So
Tell you what, an amazing qualifying session there for Zachary Woolen. Colin Bays both of those guys were really quick in the pre-qualifying. We actually had to whittle the field down from about 95 competitors to the guys you see here today. And then two real-world racers, Bradley Smith and Theodore Olsen, on the second row.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm sure Dempsey's going to be looking racy out there as well, Peter Dempsey then. And Eric Harmon, of course, just behind them.
Another one to watch out for will be young Jordan Missig. He's a young gun that did so well in the Blue Marble Cocktails Radical Cup North America Series last year, and he stepped up to the US F3, the regional series, and he should be quick. Did very well in the iRacing series for FR Americas.
Well, those series are very, very highly competitive as well, things like Formula 4. Going down the list, we can see Christopher Reagan 7th, Benjamin Whetstone 8th, Daryl Taylor 9th, Shane Stoney in 10th, Mark Tranter, then Jonathan Scarallo, Jordan Missig, Matt Anderson, the Australian in 14th, Dave Tweedley, Horatio Brown from Jamaica in 16th, Thomas Lovelady in 17th, then John Hanson, then Brendan Wright, Jerome DeSadlier, Austin Riley, Tom Nuxall, Kamari Odom, Richard Thomas, Walter Ferrer, Ari Lyondike, Ross Elliott, Jacek Zielonka, Matt Graham, Keith Carter, Nate Smith, Matthew Jones, John Falb, Edwin Raffles, and then drivers who don't know if they set a time or not. I think some of them did. Chris Short, Alan Miller, Joe Nuxall, Nathan Brumby, Michael Cusack in 39th, Jake Culler, Nathan Jones, James Lay, Antonio Brias, Mackenzie Walker, and Lewis Schreiber.
Unbelievable. We mentioned some other names there. John Falb, of course, European Le Mans competitor, big-time radical driver, started his career in radicals at Spring Mountain Motor Club and has gone on to amazing things. LMP3 champion, and great to see him back in a radical, albeit virtually.
Yeah, and of course, just looking at the conditions out there on the track today, you've got a 30-degree air temperature, very, very hot here in Atlanta, as it tends to be. 43 degrees track temperature, very light wind from the north, and yeah, it should be pretty good. There's a penalty for 40 incidents. I'd be surprised if the drivers are doing 40 incidents in 35 minutes, but you never quite know, Tom. If they get a little bit excited, you know, it can happen in a field this big.
We did relax out a little bit for this first event. I mean, I'm more paranoid about the field getting through the final turn on this roll-around lap, let alone through turn 1. So I've seen certainly plenty of carnage at Road Atlanta coming down the hill in turn 12, and we'll see how all of these radicals get through. But they're looking pretty tidy behind that pace car.
It certainly happened, right? I've been in races where you know, I've been hit quite hard up the rear at the last chicane. Yeah, so it's even on the pace lap. So it's not an inconceivable thought that something might go on here. Zachary Woolen, then, I wonder how aggressive he's going to be in terms of the jump. Is he going to wait? I think here it might be better to wait because it's quite a short main straight. Would you concur on that?
Yeah, it'll be interesting, won't it? Because you probably could jockey for position a little bit and see if you can get the jump. But that's right. I think in real racing you'd potentially try and wait and hold a lower pace and then launch yourself at the last minute, because that way you're minimising the amount of slipstreaming and possibility for someone else to get a run into you in turn 1. But I imagine we're going to see a fair bit of action in that final chicane today as well. So here we go for round 1 of the Radical Cup iRacing Invitational here at Road Atlanta. This is new territory for Radical sports cars, and we should be green. We are.
Here we go then. Oh, look at that. Bradley Smith. Brilliant. So late on the brakes into turn 1. He just surprised everybody. Woolen drops down to 3rd. Olsen has got ahead of him. Then the Swede up into P2. And then Dempsey's in 4th. He maintains that position. And then there's a spinner. There was a couple of spinners actually. Somebody's been hit off the track. Not sure who that was. It might have been Kamari Odom. But Olsen then after Bradley Smith. And Smith, what a start by him.
Unbelievable driving from Bradley Smith. I haven't seen it in the flesh, but he's got a fantastic simulator base with a radical as the base unit. So he's probably driving in a real chassis at the moment. And Theodore Olsen, a fierce competitor on the track, he's won here in a radical SR8 at Road Atlanta in real life. 2nd place at the moment on circuit.
Great amount of slipstream there down the back straight, and Olsen really pushing hard on Smith. Then Smith defends very well into the chicane. We will see a lot of that. I wonder, it's going to be quite difficult to break away. I've seen that in other series around here, but slipstream pretty prevalent in these radicals. And side by side in the background, I think that might be Darren Taylor and Jonathan Scarallo for 12th and 13th, as this group is still very, very close after one lap.
Absolutely, and you'll have to bear with me for a little bit because my sim is having trouble with all these cars. Go ahead.
No, I was just looking at Jonathan Scarallo destroying the cones and coming over the top of the hill, as I think he was side by side with maybe Matt Anderson.
Jonathan extremely excited to be in one of these.
Austin Riley in the wall. Sorry to interrupt, Tom, but Austin Riley.
Oh, what a disaster for young Austin, a Canadian competitor going to race in the Blue Marble Cocktails Radical Cup North America Series this year. Of course, that delayed by the chaos that COVID created around the world. And Austin racing with autism, an amazing driver, but no luck today.
Very easy for the back of the car to just step out, coming over that crest. Gets very light at the top of the hill. It's happened to pretty much everybody I think who's ever raced at this circuit. Peter Dempsey's got up into third place then. The Irishman, Indy Lights driver, of course, and he was part of that amazing race at Indianapolis that time. It was the 4 wide over the finish line, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I still think that might be the closest finish ever.
Was that a lapped car that was off in the first sector? Not sure.
Your vision might be a little bit better than mine at the moment. Still in the process of doing my computer upgrades for all of this. But there's some other names coming up the leaderboard. So John Falb is making his way up. Another one to watch, I think, will be Nathan Jones. He's one of our young engineers that travels the world.
Well, he's already gained 22 places. So he's had a tremendous start, he really has.
Perhaps a little bit of an advantage because he's been working on the spec setup. So Nathan Jones doing the factory proud here.
They'll do anything for the advantage, won't they? They even work on the fix set, yeah, though. But Nathan Jones doing a really, really good job so far. He started in 41st, it looks like, and 19th for him at the moment.
The other one that's doing a good job is Charlie Farrer, Walter Farrer on the timing screen. He's from Apex Motor Club, and we were hoping to see Ari Lundijk there as well from Apex. He is indeed in the race. Looks like in 26th position at the moment. So movement up and down this field, the timing screen changing every millisecond, it appears.
I take it, is he in relation to the other Ari Lundijk?
Indeed. So, but this one, of course, the Stadium Super Trucks driver, Indy 500 driver as well. So, again, some serious experience in this field. A big shout out to Alan Miller as well, the 500 machine, Indy Al Miller, Blue Marble Cocktails founder, and of course a great sponsor of ours.
Dempsey was going for the lead into the chicane, and Smith flew up the inside. Brilliant move again. Very, very late on the brakes. Peter Dempsey trying everything he can to wrestle the lead away from Bradley Smith. I tell you, Tom, after doing 7 hours of driving today in the Nürburgring 24 hours, I could do with a cocktail. Oh, Bradley Smith might need one now. He's in the wall. He could be out of the race.
Oh, that's a disaster for Bradley Smith. Peter Dempsey, though, P1. And amazing that real world driver beating the best of the iRacing guys at the moment.
Well, yeah, we do see Peter Dempsey in the 2020 ARL TCR series, which airs on this channel on Thursday nights, and he did quite well there this week and got a second place. Been fighting for the win at most meetings, so we know how quick he is on the sim. And now he's got now Zachary Woolen.
And someone running wide.
Oh yeah, it was. It might have been Colin Bays possibly, but it says he's been off the track. Zachary Woolen's got a good slipstream on Dempsey. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to make a move into the chicane this time round.
So another story to pick up on is Benjamin Whetstone, an engineer, radical engineer from Texas. and he is running solid in third place at the moment.
Yeah, he is, and he's gaining on this group. Actually, he was 1/10 quicker than the leader on the previous lap. He set more personal best sectors. He set 3 personal best sectors on that previous lap. So, and a personal best sector 1 on this lap. So going very, very well is Benjamin Whetstone. Christopher Reagan's in 4th. He's 3 seconds ahead of Mark Tranter, who's just got ahead. Who just got into 5th place ahead of Jordan Missing. I don't know if Missing might have been off because he's now in the clutches of Colin Bays. And that's a good battle, actually. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Now, look, you see it on the screen. Wow. So, all these guys still very, very tightly packed. And Bays, he moved off the racing line to have a go. And he's now up the inside into the second part of that double apex right-hander. And he's trying to get the move done. But, oh, there's contact wheel to wheel. There's Missig trying to force the issue with Bays, Tom.
Yeah, Missig is definitely a fierce competitor in real life, too. And so he's giving it his all. Is young Missig trying to make his name in motorsport and doing a tremendous job of it.
Oh, and Bays got caught out there by the car that was going into the chicane. I'm not exactly sure who that was. It might have been Anderson, possibly. But Bays now at the back of that group. So instead of being at the front of it, he's at the back. Joe Nuxall, I think, has had an accident somewhere, maybe further down the field. But yeah, it's a great scrap going on for P6 and Bays for Targa Sim Racing. He's he's twitching away as well as he's going down the hill.
Definitely a little bit of a handful, these cars. I think my experience was much easier to drive in real life. And of course, the SR3, which is the smaller sister, if you like, or smaller brother of the SR8, is just a fantastic car for starting out with in real world racing. An extremely capable car, but extremely confidence inspiring. And a lot of these drivers, the real world drivers, started their racing careers in that SR3. Some of them have stepped up to the SR8. One that did.
My goodness! And the big crash. Sorry, Tom. Big crash, and I think it's Colin Bays in the wall. And what happened was there was a lapped car going very slowly in the kink, very slowly, and they got caught out by that one.
I wonder if that lap car had some damage or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a huge blow for Colin Bays.
And Bays got together with car. Oh, I'm trying to see the number of that one. I think it was the 617 of Eric Harmon.
I was mentioning Dave Tweedley before. Speaking of spins and crashes, Dave had an interesting moment at Road America last year when we were supporting IndyCar, and had a very rare puncture, and the tyre failed on him, unfortunately. And it's a great video if you can find that on YouTube, but he ended up parking it in the grass backwards, sort of parallel parking it between the brake markers down to turn 1 of Road America. So Dave Tweedley's been putting in the hours this week. I know that. I've spoken to him
spin.
via telephone. Oh, it is a spin.
And
so the final chicane catches another one out.
Not sure who that was actually at all. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. But somebody spun right in front of the leader here. It was Joe Nuxall, who's lost it into the chicane.
So Nuxall, another one of our American competitors, races for Radical Northwest at Sonoma Raceway. That's his home base. Happy to be out here.
Another very
everywhere basically shut down in the US at the moment. So this is really the only outlet for races, and we're just pleased to be able to give these guys the little bit of a release that they need, because everyone around the radical world has had to put their real life championships on hold.
Oh yeah, massively. And it's the great thing about sim racing though, isn't it, is that you can go and you can perform pretty much the same actions as you would. Oh, big one, huge one in the background. huge one on the straight. Can't pinpoint who it was again, unfortunately, but it was
definitely some chaos and carnage today. But I guess that's to be expected with such a large field.
It's a bumpy circuit as well, this one. I mean, really. Oh, it's Kamari Odom, I think, who's had big incident, but yeah, we didn't quite. I saw the back end of the incident, unfortunately, nothing more. But yeah, it's quite a bumpy circuit road at Lansdowne. Mistakes can be very easily made, and it looks like there's a closely fought contest going into the chicane. Looks like Eric Harmon and maybe Darrell Taylor look like they're quite close together on the track. Mark Tranter and Jordan Missig look pretty close together as well. As we see that we're looking at the replay, then Missig getting the run on Tranter, and then is he going to have a go into the double apex? No, not this time. Here we go then, down the back straight they go. Missig, Anderson, and possibly a lapped car in there as well. But Matt Anderson's had a decent start, Tom. He's up from 14th on the grid.
Yeah, unbelievable run he's having today. And, you know, some pretty solid drives that are occurring. Just people, I think, quietly working away. Of course, it's probably the best way to do it. There is a championship on the line, but more than that, I think it's just a lot of guys still getting used to their sim setups, used to this type of racing. And so really, slow and steady might win this one. Well, maybe won't catch the leader at the moment, but certainly will move you promptly up the field as chaos ensues around you.
Oh, mistakes can definitely be made here. Oh, and we're seeing some chaos potentially with the traffic, and the driver's not really knowing where to. Oh, what's the lapped car doing? My goodness. Well, Anderson, the Australian, he had to think fast that time, as the lapped car was not very hospitable in getting out of the way, let's face it. And now on board, look, well, with Matt Anderson, he's trying to go around the outside of Jordan Missig. Missig holds the outside into the chicane. Anderson late on the brakes. Anderson through up into 5th place.
Beautiful job. And amazing to see so many nationalities represented, of course. A Radical Cup running in Australia. We've got Prieto Brown from Jamaica, and we have a Caribbean series as well. So there is literally races from every continent that Radical races on in real life, competing globally. It's the first time. We've always had a dream of having a World Series, a World Final, and racing, this concept of racing the world. And today it's coming to fruition, albeit virtually, but to have so many top drivers.
Well, yeah, it could be
communities. It's really unbelievable.
Could be the first step towards that World Championship, as Shane Stoney and Nathan Brumby then are going through the final corner. And it looks like the timing screens just need to sort itself out maybe a tiny bit at the moment. But it is Woolen from Dempsey, then Reagan, then Tranter, then Anderson. Scarallo is 6th, then Fowl. John Fowl up from... John Fowl up from 33rd on the grid, it looks like, up to 12th.
Yeah, I guess that real-world experience is coming into play. John texted me earlier in the week. We had a test event. He said that he'd never had so much fun, but it was much harder than the real thing. So, John Fowl, another one to race Radicals for many years.
Oh, good move.
Thunder Hill. And
he's off now.
ELMS.
Oh, we bigged him up too much, I think. and he ended up going off in turn 1. He's recovered it. Oh, I can hear a spinner. I think it's Alan Miller. Or is it Michael Cusack? It's one of the two. Both came up as crashed at the same time on my screen, as there's a bit of chaos going on at the back of the circuit, and somebody spun. I think that might be. I think it might be John Hansen possibly as well.
So Hansen, another real world competitor. He's won in the North American Radical Cup at VIR in the 1340 class. Driving for Wisco Racing, our Virginia dealer. But,
so how many sort of arms of Radical are there in terms of the reach of the company? Then, in terms of different, is it pretty much every country, or is it regional, or what?
Just about every continent. So it's amazing. Radical, of course, has over 20 years of experience building these prototype cars, and all from Peterborough in England, just north of London, and exports them all around the world. The SR8 here being one of numerous models. We talked about the SR3. There's even a junior car from that, the SR1. And
contact. Sorry, John Fowle, and just hit Colin Bays, and Bays going around. Sorry, at the back of the circuit. Sorry, Tom.
It's unfortunate for Bays there, but Fowle's still making a move up through the pack. But as I was mentioning, so the SR1 is our entry-level car, also used for racing schools, and in fact Atlanta Motorsport Park here in Georgia, the USA, feature that SR1. And I did notice on that entry list that that Kamari Odom, he's been through that school. But of course, then we go on the other side of things, and beyond the SR8, there's the RXC, Spyder and Coupe. 650 horsepower out of those machines, a much bigger platform, almost like having your personal LMP2 car. And we mentioned one of the drivers before, and I'm just looking for him on the timing screen. But one of the racers in the SR3s just stepped up to a Spyder, and it is fantastic because there's really a fantastic ladder to be taken with Radical Sports Cars, not just regionally, if you like, from track day to club racing to the national series. But as you mentioned, there is racing around the world. So we have championships in Australia, in Asia, the Middle East, throughout Europe, obviously in the UK with the Challenge Championship.
Goodness. Sorry to interrupt you. They're going 3 wide down the back straight. It's Benjamin Whetstone and I'm not sure who the other two are actually. 22, Darrell Taylor, and I think that is Shane Stoney. Is it, or is it Colin Bays again?
Big shout out to Mark Tranter too. He was last year's Rookie Cup champion in SR1 in the UK series, coming fourth at the moment, so doing a great job.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of drivers have made up a lot of places from where they started. Definitely, but Tranter has just been consistent and moving forward pretty well in this one. Looking at Dave Tweedley, man from California, currently in 7th place. And he's chasing down Nathan Jones. He's trying to, at least. Anyway, Jones with a good lap that time 119.19, 0.3 of a second quicker. At the front, Zachary Woolen continues to go on his merry way, about 4 seconds clear of Peter Dempsey. And what's happened, Tom, is because it's been quite an attritional race already, we're seeing the leaders have to deal with a lot more lap traffic than they would ordinarily have to at this point.
Yeah, and I guess that's, typically in our radical racing, we have these single...
Oh, spin,
big spin there in turn 10A and between 10A and B.
Did you see what it was?
I didn't. I must admit, I've still got to upgrade the computer here. A little bit of buffering going on at my end, which I apologise about if any of my information is incorrect, because we'll certainly try and work on that in the weeks to come.
Oh, another spin as well into the wall. But it was Edwin Raffles before, and that one is Richard Thomas.
Disaster then for two of our real world competitors, Richard Thomas, a former champion, and Gustavo Raffles, I think maybe racing under his dad's account, but young gun from Puerto Rico, and he's done tremendously well in the real world championship as well. So great to see some of these young kids that are so good in the real world joining us here to take on the likes of Peter Dempsey and obviously the man to beat at the moment, Zachary Woolen.
Yeah, Dempsey, he is gaining slowly, I think, but he just set the fastest middle sector of the race as well. He's got it down from 4 seconds to 2.8, so the Irishman is on a charge here at Road Atlanta. Austin Riley's been off. I think that's who we saw in the background. It looks like there's a problem for John Falb. He's been off the circuit for 6 seconds as well, according to our screen. So it's struggling to shake it all out, I think, at the moment. So we apologise if there is any sort of strange looking timing at the moment. Jordan Missig, we're looking at him. He's down in. In fact, I don't know where he is. I think he's 18th. It says 18th on the screen, but I'm not too sure either way. But it's.
I just got a note from young Theodore Olsen from Norway, and he said that he lost the force feedback 2 times, and that's why he went off. So. He's blaming the equipment and says he needs to upgrade.
Is that another spinner at the chicane? Jordan Missig actually coming into the pit lane. Quite sure why that would be.
Interesting. I wonder whether he's had a bit of damage and wants to just reset the car.
That's possible. That is possible. I do wish that. We had that ability in the Nürburgring 24 that we're currently in the middle of doing. I'd quite like a fresh car at this point, I think.
That was amazing. You were speaking to your colleague, the director, if you will, about how you're going, and it did occur to me that you're having a busy day yourself. With
Mate,
not
I'm
only the first round of the championship, but also racing.
Yeah, we did that. We thought, in our infinite wisdom, we thought it'd be good to do the 3 a.m. split, and I didn't sleep last night, and I went all the way through to 8 o'clock, and I do regret that. I should have maybe planned slightly better, but it would have been fine, except like, oh, Whetstone's around. Whetstone's been turned at the chicane.
So we're coming up on about 15 minutes to go, aren't we? So there's still time in this motor race for Dempsey to claw his way back. For others, I think it's a case of hanging on.
Yeah, he certainly can. I mean, it's ebbing and flowing. It's 1/10 here, 1/10 there. Whetstone, I think, just kind of it looked like he maybe. Oh, Dempsey's had a problem. Dempsey's had a problem with the 89 car. That's Shane Stoney, who's a lap down. And so there's a bit of an issue there for Peter Dempsey. Lost a couple of seconds.
Definitely the lap traffic playing a big role in this race today. I think that will start to sort itself out as we head through the championship. Some of these drivers, you know, like Theodore was mentioning before, get slightly upgraded on their rigs, get more comfortable with this. This is new to the world of Radical, so not surprising a bit of chaos today. But actually, overall, I'm pretty impressed with the racing so far. You know, from really orchestrating this just a week ago to having, we expected perhaps maybe 30 cars, going right up to 95 entrants, and then the original grid set by the first 35 to sign up, and then a repechage, if you will, a qualifying session to set the final 10 places. We also gave away a couple of VIP spots. And so, you know, a really mixed bag field that should sort itself out a little bit for round 2.
Yeah, Chris Short around. And what we've seen in previous races as well, because as you can probably imagine, we've had quite a lot of new leagues and new broadcasting on the channel over the last few weeks. What we've seen is the first meetings are usually pretty messy. The second meetings are usually very good. And so I reckon these guys are going to be really going for it in practice this week to try and make a good showing of themselves next week. But a few people still haven't made a good showing of themselves today. Christopher Reagan, for instance, went to 3rd place. Mike Tranter 4th. Matt Anderson 5th. Nathan Jones 6th. They've all had pretty clean races. Eric Harmon 7th. It's only really below Eric Harmon that they've kind of had mixed bag of races, shall we say, in there. But Jones and Reagan very, very close to each other now.
Nathan Jones doing a sterling job representing the factory well. You mentioned Christopher Reagan. He, of course, from Spring Mountain Motor Club, one of our biggest country clubs here in the US, and a driving instructor as well as an iRacing racer.
I think Reagan had a slow down penalty there. He was going very slowly on the straight. He lost about 2 seconds. So has he got a problem with the car? I think he's got a problem with the car, you know. Tommy's beating in.
For Reagan. So just as we were talking him up, the curse of the commentator strikes. And
he went in the wall as well on the way into the pits. So I think he's got some. Oh yeah, he's got a steering issue. He's got a big steering issue. He had to be steering left on the straights to drive in a straight line.
Nathan Jones, who said he didn't get a clean lap in qualifying, has carved his way up through this field.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, and
doing a good job as well.
The car is relatively clean for Nathan Jones as well, so it's not. It's got a little nick on the front left corner, I think, but everything else seems to be pretty much fine and dandy for him, as it is for the leader as well, Zachary Woolen. Should we go on board for a lap maybe with the leader?
Love to see that from inside the cockpit with the leader. See how it's done here at Road Atlanta.
There we go then, down the S's section.
I must say I was so impressed the first time I ever got on iRacing and having experience in a prototype and in a Radical around Road Atlanta, just how accurate the sim was, particularly with all that undulation and, you know, every little point, your braking points, the turn-in points, everything just correlating to the real world. I must admit, it doesn't make it any easier to drive it on the sim, but just so accurate.
Very good for track knowledge, very good for building confidence, repetition, things like that. I think, yeah, obviously there are certain things, and this is what we've talked about for weeks, and the whole industry really has talked about, is that as Dempsey's dropped way down. He's lost about 5 seconds on this lap. What's happened to Peter Dempsey?
That is a very good question. I noticed another thing from that onboard footage, of course, is that the flames are throwing out the back of these SR8s, and that happens in real life too. So great to see that iRacing has got that accuracy. The detail is fantastic. And,
Yeah, if you want a barbecue, all you need to do is stand behind that, and you'll be able to get grilling.
Yeah, licking flames out the exhaust is something you see on the big platform cars too, the ones we were mentioning before, the 650 horsepower RXC, Spyder and Coupe. And great to see those cars out in the real world being joined by the SR8s and the SR3s in a real live Blue Marble Radical Cup racing series here in the US.
I tell you,
those cars, all the range really, so just so popular at the country club racetracks, whether it's here in the US or in Europe as well.
Just seen the replay of what happened to Dempsey. Got caught up behind a lapped car, and I think had a tiny bit of. Oh, there's a car rolling down the S's. There was a car rolling down the S's. Let's have a look. Dempsey then comes into turn. Well, the S is complex. Oh yeah, and the guy in front was very slow through there. Dempsey got caught out by the speed differential, ends up going into the wall. That's why we lost all that time. And then behind them, somebody almost goes for a roll, shall we say? Oh, huge one, flying through the air. Wow, I'm not even sure precisely who was involved there, but I couldn't tell from a distance, but somebody got, I don't know if you saw that, Tom, but he got absolutely launched into the air.
No, I haven't yet. I must admit, I'm waiting for the race replay on the live stream on the internet. But I've definitely noticed a few cars out there with some damage as well. So I think of some competitors needing to probably assess whether they need to come into pit lane and just reset the car, work on it, rather than
I think we've just
seen a mobile chicane out there for some of these front runners.
I think we've just seen it, the accident on the stream. So big old one that. I'm not even sure who that was involved. It might have been Shane Stoney possibly. Do not know though.
I must say
it's going to be the final lap now, Tom.
Sorry, mate.
It's going to be the final lap already for Zachary
Just
Woolen.
snuck another one in, haven't they? Because the time shows that the clock's counting down, but they will have one more lap here at Road Atlanta. So the inaugural Radical Cup Invitational will draw to a close here.
Well, Zachary Woolen
will do the business.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic race so far, and providing he negotiates this traffic, he's going to come home with a pretty good victory, a very good victory, in fact. To hold off Dempsey was one thing, but to pull away from him was another. Woolen, he's just got the back straight in the chicane, and the final corner to go then, as he pulls out of the slipstream of the lapped car. Lap car still hovering somewhere nearby.
Zachary Woolen, he's an iRacer by night, an IndyCar engineer by day, and he looks like he'll take the first win of the Radical Series here on iRacing.
Here we go then, across the line, Zachary Woolen takes the checkered flag.
Congratulations
he wins that Road Atlanta.
to Zachary from the US. A tremendous job.
Now Dempsey's going to try and limp this car across the line. I think he's got some damage, but he's going to come home and take second place. I think he's going to be fairly happy with that.
Absolutely. Peter Dempsey, he's a superstar. I've watched him race at the Thunderhill 25 hours for hour after hour after prepping the car, running the team. Somehow that man manages to wheel whatever he's behind. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back fighting for more next week.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there or thereabouts. Can't keep people like that at bay for long. Oh, Whetstone and someone else getting very, very close coming over the line. Looking at Nate Smith. He's one of the last drivers to come across. in 23rd. He's just negotiating the final corner. Nate Smith, the man from the Midwest, he's going to come through and complete the running today.
So, fantastic job for the factory man Nathan Jones as well. Congratulations to him. Off the back of the grid, he's put in some tremendous hours to help all of us put this event together.
Yeah, and I think there'll be many more good races to come, I'm sure, in this series over the next few weeks. Do you know where the next meeting is, Tom?
Yes, so we're off to Silverstone, off the your side of the pond next.
Indeed.
And so that's on May 2nd. Then we'll have a break on May 9. Then we're heading to Canada for Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the Motorsport circuit, that is a fierce circuit if you've raced there in real life. Then we're at Mid-Ohio on May 23 because potentially, and all things being equal and well here in the US, we'll be having a real round. Effectively the first round of the Blue Marble Cocktails Radical Cup North America Series at Mid-Ohio the following weekend. Then we come back for round 5 of the virtual series at Spa, which will be a tremendous event. Of course, Spa being the home of some of the biggest grids that Radical sees in real live racing. And then we'll finish it up at Road America, June 13, because again, the following week, we in theory will be with IndyCar at Road America.
Oh, nice. And well, Silverstone again, always a great place to go. Motorsport, I always think Motorsport and Road Atlanta are very similar in terms of, you know, similar kind of circuits and similar attributes required to master them. But yeah, with some great rounds coming up, and yeah, hopefully everything does get sorted out and you guys can get back to the business at hand of racing. Now, I wonder if any of the drivers will be wanting to come and speak to us after the race, because we've still got a few minutes left.
Yes, I'm just trying to
Here
see
we go.
if we can get Nathan Jones.
There he is.
Hey, mate.
Hey, Nathan, you're live on the stream, so congratulations. Fantastic job from the back of the field, and obviously all that work was good development. Nope, we may have just lost Nathan.
Has he gone, has he? Let's have a look.
Put him back in. Back.
There we go, yep.
So Nathan, we were just mentioning that a great job, and obviously all your development work paid off.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it was more a case of staying out of trouble. But yeah, good fun regardless.
But tell us a little bit about the start, because you were at the back. So what was it like? I imagine it's quite hard to dodge cars on a simulator.
Yeah, it's definitely not driving flat out the first lap. So I struggled to get a lap in and quali just because it was so busy. And then just first lap, just dodging the carnage. Coming down the hill, there's a big group of cars going off. So it's just picking your way through that and then just trying to keep consistent, not making mistakes throughout the rest of the race.
Well, mate, it doesn't seem to matter whether it's go-karting with the competitors at a Radical Cup North America weekend or iRacing. You always show your speed. Perhaps one of these days we need to get you a bit more behind a real live racing car rather than behind the laptop engineering these things.
Yeah, no, it'd be good fun. But yeah, good effort arranging it all at short notice and how much work you put in behind the scenes. So thanks to you and Will and all the marketing guys for sorting it out.
And is there any advice you can give perhaps to the guys listening on the live stream in terms of the setup, just setting up the sim or anything? You mentioned to me just not trying to overdrive this car perhaps is the tweak.
Yeah, so I started off just hitting the brakes super hard, and I realised like if you're nice and gentle with it and bleed off going into the corners, it settles it down quite a bit. So yeah, working on entry and breaking into the corner was the main thing for me.
Well, it certainly paid off.
Oh, sorry, Tom. I was going to ask you, Nathan. What would you say that the biggest difference in terms of the way the car handles on the sim compared to the way it handles in the real world?
Well, I'm not the best person to ask, to be honest, because I've never driven an 8 in real life. But I imagine it's a lot more stable in real life. Because coming in from it's so high speed, it's quite lively. As soon as you get a slide, it's not very predictable. So I imagine the real thing's a lot more settled in terms of that. Obviously, you have the feel of the wheel in your hands with the real car as well. So that's a big difference.
I can definitely answer that one from a real world perspective, and it's a pretty easy car to drive. I mean, even though the SR8 has got so much horsepower, about 400 brake horsepower, it really is a stunning thing to drive. You know, I must admit, even with my very poor simulator set up at home, I was finding the same thing as you said, Nathan, that, you know, it's just hard, isn't it? Because it seems under brakes sometimes, the rear end just comes up, it gets a little bit light.
Yeah.
And that's not something you expect or see in the real car.
No, that's it.
Well, we've got a couple more minutes here. I'm wondering whether we can get any other drivers on in the from the series. Let's see if we can. I'm not sure if
there's no one about at the moment. I guess we can. Guess we can still bother Nathan for a bit. Nathan, I mean, these 35-minute races, you know, they're a pretty good length, aren't they? They allow you to get into your rhythm quite well, I think.
Yeah, no, it was a good length. I know for the series we obviously do shorter sprint races, but 35 minutes is it's not too long, not too short, so it gives you a chance just to get in and get in the rhythm and feel your way through, sort of thing. And if you do make a mistake, you've got time to make up for it, sort of thing. So
well, that's it. We saw a few people will have to recover. Well, lots of them having to recover quite hard after the first few laps. We do head to Silverstone next week, of course. So the correct side of the Atlantic, and superb circuit, it really is, and one that I'm sure you're looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Silverstone will suit a lot of the guys a bit more. I think this is Road Atlanta is quite a wild circuit with all the elevation, and there's some big curbs there, and it's quite a technical track. So I think Silverstone will be a lot better for everyone.
Well, thanks for coming in and talking to us anyway. And are there any other personal shout outs that you want to give? Any sponsors, things like that?
No, just as I said, all the guys at Radical have helped put this together. All the Radical community have jumped on this at quite short notice and made it the good event that it's been. So yeah, all good. Thank you.
All right, well, nice one. Thank you for joining us, Tom. Anything else for Nathan?
Oh, I think that's it. Hopefully, we can get perhaps John Falb or Matt Graham on online and see if they can give a little bit of insight from this first race. Is John there?
Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Good, mate. So you mentioned that this was harder than real life to me the other day. How was it in today's race?
I mean, it's a blast, but it is not easy. That's for sure. You know, it's hard to feel the car. Every lap is a little bit different, and trying to be good in traffic is even harder because it's just hard to see guys. But man, what a blast!
So before all of this drama came about around the world, what was your racing program looking like for this year?
Yeah, so we were all squared up, had everything in line and ready to go. Racing again with Algarve Pro and ELMS series. 2 new teammates this year, Simon Trummer and Arjun Mani. And we had a test back in February at Paul Ricard, and it was really good. New tire this year, Goodyear came on board. A lot of energy for that, and obviously we got our 24-hour Le Mans entry. So that was my main program, and expect to get going there in July.
Well, you've come all the way from Radical Racing at Spring Mountain, and you're heading to Le Mans. Perhaps just give folks a little bit of your story, that background, and how you got started, and how Radical's played a role in your motorsport.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I started really racing motorcycles back in my 20s at Willow Springs Motorsport Park, doing the club series there. And after several years of that, I really got too busy. Um, moved to Vegas about 11 years ago and went out to Spring Mountain and drove a Radical and was totally hooked. Um, I think my race count is something in the low 100 range in those cars. So a lot of laps and really just progressed from there. Did the Indy or the IMSA Light Series in the Elon car, and then some PC races in IMSA. Actually won the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta in 2016 or 2017, and then did LMP3 for 3 years in ELMS.
And all this time, you've had a Radical as well, and still drive it.
Yeah, I still have it. My last Radical race was the 25 Hours of Thunder Hill back in December. I haven't won it yet, but man, I need to.
We know we can do it now, having seen Peter Dempsey, so that's fantastic, isn't it? Look, John,
sure.
stay here on the line. We'll just see if Matt Graham can join us as well. He's another one with plenty of laps around racetracks in Radicals.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Indeed. So you're live on the stream. Well, how was it out there?
Challenging to say the least. As you know, I've driven and raced just about everything that Radical's made over the last 15 or 20 years. And this was definitely the hardest by far. I'm not a sim racer. I'm a 40-something father of 3, although I want to be like John when I grow up. Holy cow. But sim racing is something that I didn't have time for until, soccer practice and baseball camps all got canceled, and fired this up and got to do something to scratch the speed itch, right? And this is fantastic. I'll echo what Nathan said earlier. It was brilliant. What you were able to pull together in whatever it was, a week and a half or 2 weeks. We're having lots of fun out here racing. And the race today, it was tricky, and I see there's a replay of me with my bent wing here. All of my incidents were of my own doing, so I have to give hats off to everybody that raced around me. I probably got in the way more than I was impeded by anybody, that's for sure.
It looks like an oval stock car with that the wing at a jolly angle.
A bit of stagger. Look, we're in the last minute, perhaps, of this broadcast. So, Matt, you've had so many different Radicals, as you mentioned. What's your favorite?
I've always got to come back to the SR3. I've liked them all, but I love the SR3. I've had 4 or 5 of them now. They're just so much fun. You're flat out everywhere, which is the best part. You just, they're easy to drive, they're easy to maintain, they're easy to run, and for the speed and for the racing, you really can't.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully iRacing's listening to that one, and we can get an SR3 model on the simulator sooner than later.
I hope so. Thanks for having us, Tom, and thanks for having me on.
Not a worry. Well, I think that just about does it for the live stream here from Road Atlanta and round 1 of the Radical Cup iRacing Invitational. It's been fantastic to be alongside you, Andrew, and albeit virtually. And thank you for Scott Newton for all his work.
Yeah, indeed. Well done to Scotty for that. It wasn't the easiest one. A couple of little issues there, but he's done a good job there. Tom, it's been a pleasure, mate, and I'm sure the next round at Silverstone will hopefully be able to bring you a bit more of the on-track action, because there was some good stuff out there, and we want to be able to bring it to you. So, but thank you very much for this. It's going to be a fun one. This
it is. It's going to be a fun season, and again, with Apex Racing TV doing the broadcast, it's just made it an amazing event. Again, with so many Radical competitors watching around the world, it's not just the guys here racing, but this is giving everyone something to latch on to. We're all sitting at home twiddling our thumbs.
I'll send you the money later for that plug, mate. Well done. Thank you. But no, hey, look, thank you very much. Yeah, and I do want to sort of say, we say it on every broadcast as well. you know, we hope everybody's staying home, everybody's staying safe as best they can, and of course, we hope your mental state is a good one, and we hope that this helps to provide a little bit of an escape in these times. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching today on Apex Racing TV. I've been Andrew Woodhouse. I've been alongside Tom Drewer. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time at Silverstone. Good night.